You think you know what he's paying attention to, but I promise you, it's not just your looks or your outfit. The truth is, men notice way more than they let on the things you do when you're not trying to impress anyone. The moments you think go unseen, those are the moments he remembers most. When a woman walks into a room, many assume men only notice the visual, how she looks, what she's wearing, or the way she carries herself. But there's something deeper, more impactful, that often goes unnoticed by women. The way she treats others when she thinks no one is paying attention. Men who are emotionally intelligent, especially those looking for something more meaningful, are incredibly observant in this area. They watch how she speaks to the waiter, how she handles a mistake with customer service, or how she treats people who can do nothing for her in return. That behavior reveals more than any conversation ever could. It's in these subtle interactions that a man sees a woman's character. A kind word to a stranger, patience in a frustrating moment, or simply a smile to someone who seems invisible to others can leave a lasting impression. And it's not about being fake or trying to be nice. For the sake of it, men notice when it's authentic, when it's second nature. That's what truly stands out. Because if she's kind to the world when the world isn't necessarily looking, it tells him she's going to carry that same kindness into a relationship. And let's be honest, men are subconsciously asking themselves, is this someone I can build with, trust, grow with? On the flip side, if a woman is dismissive, rude, or entitled with others while still trying to impress him, it sends a loud message. A man might not say anything in the moment, but it sticks with him. He starts to question if the kindness she's showing him is just part of the performance. He wonders how long that act will last once the chase is over, because how she treats others is a mirror into how she'll treat him when things aren't going smoothly. Even deeper, it shows her emotional regulation, her ability to manage her emotions when things don't go her way. Is she quick to anger, or does she stay grounded? Does she look down on people or lift them up without needing recognition? These are quiet yet powerful indicators of emotional maturity, and men who are serious about a woman, who are not just in it for the surface level connection, pick up on every single one. Men also notice how a woman handles awkward social dynamics. Is she the person who includes someone being left out of the conversation? Does she make others feel safe and welcomed? Or is she only focused on the people she wants to impress? These behaviors might seem small, even insignificant to the person doing them, but to an observant man they speak volumes. They reflect empathy, security, and inner confidence, all of which are wildly attractive traits that can't be faked or bought. When a woman enters a room, before a single word is spoken or any real interaction begins, her energy has already introduced her. Men are far more perceptive than many give them credit for, and one of the first things they tune into is the energy she brings with her. It's not about being the loudest, the most glamorous, or even the most confident in a traditional sense. It's about presence, the way she carries herself, the comfort she has within her own skin, and the emotional tone she sets all get noticed instantly. A man may not even be able to articulate what he's picking up on, but he feels it. It draws him in or pushes him away before she even speaks. Energy is a subtle language. It's in the way she walks, her posture, how she listens, and even in how she reacts to what's happening around her. A woman who walks into a space with calm, grounded energy gives off a sense of security and self-respect that men deeply admire. It's not about arrogance or dominance. It's about someone who is at ease with herself. That kind of vibe communicates that she doesn't need external validation to feel worthy, and that's incredibly magnetic. Conversely, if a woman enters with anxious or performative energy, always needing to be noticed or validated, it's something men can feel just as clearly. That doesn't mean she has to be perfect or emotionless. It simply means that men are tuned into whether a woman feels aligned with herself, or if she's putting on a mask for others. There's a difference between someone who radiates genuine joy and someone who's desperately seeking attention. Men can feel the difference even if they don't always understand what they're sensing. This energy also influences how men approach her. If her energy is open, warm, and secure, it creates a safe space. It invites connection without forcing it. It makes a man want to lean in, to learn more, to invest his time and presence. On the other hand, closed off or erratic energy, no matter how beautiful the exterior, can keep men at a distance emotionally. Energy either invites or repels, and many women don't realize how powerful that signal is. What's especially compelling to men is when a woman's energy is consistent. That means she's not putting on a show when someone she likes is nearby, only to drop the act when she thinks no one is watching. Her calm, kindness, playfulness, or depth is a part of her, not a performance. That consistency builds trust, and trust builds connection. In a world that often encourages surface-level attraction, the woman who owns her energy becomes unforgettable. It's not about trying to be someone else or mimicking a certain vibe. It's about being so in tune with yourself that your presence naturally draws the right kind of attention. Men notice the way a woman talks about herself more than she might ever imagine. It's not just the words she uses, it's the tone, the underlying beliefs, the quiet ways she either uplifts or undermines herself in casual conversation. A woman could be dressed flawlessly, admired by others, and still, what a man truly absorbs is how she speaks about who she is. If she constantly puts herself down, brushes off compliments, or deflects praise with insecurity, he starts to form a mental picture of how she sees herself, and that picture influences how he sees her too. Confidence doesn't need to be loud. It's not about bragging or listing accomplishments. It's often shown in the smallest moments. How she accepts a compliment, how she owns her achievements without apology, how she responds when someone tries to diminish her. A woman who can say, "Thank you," instead of, "Oh, this old thing," when complimented on her appearance, sends a message that she values herself. That subtle message is powerful. Men are drawn to women who recognize their own worth, because that recognition becomes the foundation for mutual respect. When a woman constantly makes self-deprecating jokes or talks negatively about her appearance, her body, or her abilities, it sends a signal that she doesn't fully believe in herself. Even if those comments are meant to be lighthearted or humorous, they reveal an internal narrative that men pick up on. A man might initially be intrigued by her, but if he repeatedly hears her speak in ways that diminish her own value, it can begin to change how he feels. Not because he's judging her, but because confidence is one of the most attractive and emotionally grounding qualities in any relationship. On the other hand, when a woman speaks with quiet self-assurance, when she acknowledges her flaws but doesn't let them define her, when she speaks with pride about what she's passionate about, when she doesn't shrink herself to make others comfortable, it resonates deeply. Men take notice of that. It's rare, and it stands out. It tells them she has a life of her own, that she doesn't need constant validation, and that she's emotionally mature enough to stand beside someone rather than leaning on them to feel whole. The way a woman talks about herself also reflects how she might talk about the relationship later on. If she constantly blames herself, over-apologizes, or can't accept being seen and loved as she is, it becomes emotionally exhausting for both people. A man begins to realize that no matter how much he reassures her, it will never be enough if she doesn't see her own value. That creates imbalance, and it can slowly chip away at the connection. Men are deeply influenced by a woman's self-narrative because it reveals her internal world. That world is what he steps into when he starts dating her, when he falls for her, when he chooses her. Whether it's filled with self-love or self-doubt, he notices every word. Body language is a powerful form of communication, and men are often more attuned to it than women realize. While a woman might focus on what she's saying, men are often watching how she says it. How she moves, gestures, makes eye contact, or reacts physically in different situations. These subtle cues give away far more than words ever could. Confidence, insecurity, openness, nervousness, they all live in the body before they show up in a sentence. A man might not even be aware that he's picking up on these signals, but they're shaping his perception of her in real time. The way a woman carries herself in a room, whether she stands tall or folds in on herself, whether she makes eye contact or avoids it, whether she fidgets or moves with calm assurance, all of it communicates volumes. A confident woman doesn't have to say she's confident. Her posture says it for her. Her eye contact tells him she's comfortable being seen. Her stillness says she's secure enough to take up space without apology. These signals are deeply attractive because they radiate emotional stability, something every man instinctively craves in a partner. On the other hand, certain forms of body language can reveal hidden insecurities. Constantly touching the face, crossing arms tightly, looking down, or keeping her body turned away in social settings often suggest discomfort or a desire to disappear. These aren't flaws, but they are signals, and men are watching. Even if he doesn't judge it, he senses it. He might wonder what she's protecting herself from, or whether she believes she's worthy of being approached, respected, or loved. These subtle cues shape the entire energy of an interaction. Even in conversation, men notice how a woman reacts with her body. Does she lean in when she's interested, or does she keep distance even when her words say she's engaged? Does she laugh openly and express joy, or does she seem guarded even when the conversation is light-hearted? These micro-reactions build a mental map for him. They tell him how emotionally safe it might feel to get closer, to open up, to explore something deeper with her. Touch also plays a role. Light, casual gestures like a hand on the arm or a warm smile, paired with a subtle leaning, can create powerful signals of connection and interest. Men often respond to this more than direct verbal cues. It's in those moments, when a woman isn't trying too hard, when her body language is aligned with authenticity, that a man feels truly seen and invited. Men also notice the mismatch between what a woman says and what her body is doing. If she says she's confident but her body shows anxiety, or if she claims to be open but her posture is closed off, that inconsistency creates confusion. It can make him hesitate, question the dynamic, or pull back emotionally. On the other hand, when a woman's words, tone, and body language are all congruent, it creates a sense of trust and emotional clarity that draws him in without resistance. There are certain moments when a woman thinks no one is watching, when she's just being herself, not performing or trying to impress. And those are the exact moments that tend to leave the deepest impression on a man. It's in these small, often overlooked behaviors that he sees the real her, the version that isn't filtered, rehearsed, or calculated. The way she hums to herself while making coffee, the little dance she does when her favorite song comes on, the way she talks to her pet like it understands every word. These small, authentic habits are like windows into her soul, and men notice them more than women think. These moments are powerful because they are unguarded. They reveal the parts of her personality that don't show up in conversations about careers, goals, or surface-level interests. When a man sees a woman lost in a moment of joy, or being silly when she thinks no one's looking, it often creates a deeper emotional connection. It tells him that there's something real behind the persona, something soft, light-hearted, and beautifully human. That's the kind of thing that sticks in his mind, not just how she looked at dinner, but the way she laughed uncontrollably over something ridiculous when she didn't feel the need to hold back. Even the way she reacts to small things, her excitement over a favorite snack, how she carefully waters her plants, the comfort she finds in a familiar routine tells him about her emotional world. It shows him what she values, what brings her peace, and what kind of life she creates for herself when she doesn't feel the pressure to perform. These habits might seem mundane to her, but to a man who's really paying attention, they're incredibly telling. They speak of stability, of self-awareness, of a woman who knows how to be content in her own space. There's also something deeply endearing about the vulnerability that comes with these habits. They're often quirky, sometimes awkward, and rarely polished, but that's exactly why they're so captivating. When a man sees a woman embrace these parts of herself without shame, it gives him permission to do the same. It signals that she's not just confident, but also emotionally safe to be around. It creates a sense of intimacy that can't be forced or manufactured, because it's built on moments that are entirely unfiltered. Men are drawn to women who don't feel the need to constantly curate how they're perceived. The less a woman tries to control how she's seen, the more a man feels like he's seeing the truth of who she is. And in those subtle, quiet actions, the way she talks to herself while cooking, how she organizes her space, or the silly expressions she makes when she's concentrating, he finds something incredibly grounding. It makes her memorable in a way that no staged photo or rehearsed flirtation ever could. When a woman faces a challenge, whether big or small, the way she responds to it reveals more about her than any conversation or first impression ever could. Men notice how she handles pressure not just in major life events, but in the everyday moments that test patience, resilience, and emotional maturity. How does she react when plans fall through, when someone lets her down, or when she's having a tough day? Does she spiral, lash out, or shut down, or does she breathe, adjust, and carry on with grace? These are the things men pay attention to, often more than the words she uses to describe herself. It's in moments of adversity that true character shines through. A woman can talk about being strong, independent, or easygoing, but the real test comes when life doesn't go her way. Men notice whether she can stay grounded, or whether she lets the situation control her emotions. They watch how she treats others when she's stressed, how she talks to herself when she makes a mistake, and how she regains control when things fall apart. This isn't about being perfect. It's about emotional resilience, and it's one of the most attractive and quietly powerful traits a woman can have. There's a calm kind of strength in a woman who can handle difficult situations without falling apart or creating unnecessary drama. When a man sees her take responsibility instead of blaming others, or express her feelings without needing to be rescued, it creates a deep sense of admiration. It tells him she's someone who can weather storms, someone he can rely on, and someone who's emotionally safe to build a life with. Men often associate emotional safety with how a woman navigates hard times. If she's reactive and unpredictable, it feels unsafe. If she's steady and communicative, it builds trust. Men also take note of whether she uses pressure as a reason to grow or as an excuse to shut down. Does she learn from setbacks, or does she become bitter? Does she adapt with a sense of humor, or does she dwell in negativity? These responses matter more than many women realize. A woman who can find strength in vulnerability, who can acknowledge her stress but not let it define her, radiates a quiet power that's impossible to ignore. It doesn't mean she doesn't feel deeply or get overwhelmed. It means she's self-aware enough to move through it with intention. Even more telling is how she treats her partner during those moments. Men pay close attention to whether her stress turns into blame, criticism, or emotional distance, or whether she remains open, even when things are hard. A woman who can maintain connection, who still shows kindness even when she's tired or frustrated, is rare. Those small, graceful actions in moments of pressure tell a man everything he needs to know about what life with her might look like in the long run.